A knife is not a fist fight. One wrong flinch and you don't lose, you leak. And the scariest part? The attacker doesn't need skill, he only needs 2 seconds of surprise. So what happens when a street knife thread meets Bruce Lee's real rule? Distance decides everything. Picture a normal night, not an alley with horror movie lighting, a regular street. Neon reflections, people nearby but not close enough to help fast. Bruce is walking, calm, focused, not searching for trouble. And that's exactly why this moment is dangerous, because the street doesn't warn you when it's about to change. A man steps out from the side, not sprinting, not yelling, just close enough to be too close, with the kind of eyes that don't blink much. Bruce notices something before most people would. Not the face, the hands. The right hand is hidden, then it appears, and the metal flashes for half a second. A knife. Not a dramatic blade, just a tool with one job. And instantly, the whole situation becomes a different universe. This is not about toughness. This is not about who hits harder. This is about who controls distance and timing. The attacker does something smart, because street attackers often are smarter than we want to admit. He doesn't swing wildly. He uses the knife like a threat first. He steps in just enough so Bruce feels the cold math. If you rush, you get cut. If you freeze, you get stabbed. If you talk too long, you get surprised. And then he says the line that collapses your brain into panic. Don't move. That line is a trap, because people here don't move, and they do the most natural thing. They stiffen, they lock their feet, they hold their breath, and the moment you stiffen, you become easy to control. Bruce doesn't stiffen. His face stays neutral, but his body does one subtle thing. He shifts his weight, like he's getting comfortable. To the attacker, it looks harmless. To Bruce, it's survival. Because when a knife is close, you don't need a perfect technique. You need a perfect first decision. And Bruce's first decision is not disarm. It's not fight. It's something colder. Find the exit line. He scans without looking like he's scanning, not with frantic eyes, with peripheral awareness. Where is the open space? Where is the obstacle? Where is the line the attacker can't easily follow? Because here is the brutal truth of knife threats. If you try to grab the knife too early, you often donate your hands. If you try to strike the head, you may win the argument but lose the blood loss race. If you try to block a knife, you are blocking a moving razor. So Bruce buys time, not with negotiation, with posture. He angles his body slightly, keeping a knife hand in view, keeping his own hands up, but not like a boxer, more like a man saying, okay, okay, calm enough to keep the attacker from escalating, ready enough to move if the attacker does. And then the attacker makes the mistake that decides everything. He steps closer. He wants control. He wants Bruce inside stabbing range, because the knife threat is only powerful when you're close enough to be afraid. And the moment he steps in, the situation hits the most dangerous point. This is the one wrong move would have ended him moment, because now Bruce has 2 options and only one of them keeps him alive. Option 1, do the movie move, grab the knife. Option 2, do the real move, break the line. Bruce chooses option 2, but he doesn't run yet. He waits for the attacker's weight to commit for a split second, that tiny moment when the attacker believes he's not going anywhere. And right there, Bruce moves. Not back, not straight sideways. He cuts an angle, like slipping off a train track, so the knife hand has to turn to find him. That angle is not dramatic, it's not heroic, it's mechanical. And in knife violence, mechanical beats brave, because bravery bleeds, mechanics survive. Bruce's angle step creates the first crack, not a victory, a crack. And in knife encounters, you don't need to win instantly. You need to stop the attacker from getting a clean line. Because a knife is not dangerous because it's sharp. It's dangerous because it can keep touching you while you're still trying to think. So Bruce doesn't do what most people imagine. He doesn't chase the blade. He doesn't try to catch it. He doesn't commit his fingers to a gamble. Instead, he targets what actually controls the knife, the attacker's structure. The attacker's shoulders tense and turn to follow, and right there, the street logic appears. When the knife follows you, the rest of the body follows too. That means the attacker must rotate, must step, must rebalance, and for a split second, the attacker's feet are doing work. Feet doing work means the attacker is not stable. Unstable is the only time you can safely act. Bruce keeps his eyes on the weapon, but his action goes elsewhere. He touches the attacker, not as a fight move, but as a steering move.
A sharp contact to the forearm, not to grab, just to redirect. Then a second contact at the shoulder line, again, not to fight, but to break alignment. The attacker swings. It's not a big cinematic slash. It's a short, ugly cut attempt, the kind that happens in real assaults. And this is where most people die in their imagination, because they assume the swing is obvious. But real knife attacks are often small and fast. The attacker doesn't need a big motion. He needs contact. So Bruce does something that looks almost insulting. He doesn't flinch backward like prey. He slips in a fraction, then out again, like he's making the knife miss by inches. Because when you're close, backing straight up keeps you in the same line, but cutting an angle makes the blade chase emptiness. The attacker tries again. Now frustration rises. You can feel it. Knife attackers hate one thing: when the target refuses to become predictable. So the attacker changes from threat to finish. He lunges, and that lunge is the moment Bruce was waiting for, because a lunge is commitment. Commitment creates predictability. Predictability creates an opening. Bruce doesn't grab the knife. He attacks the base. He uses a low, brutal interruption, like a stomp or a knee-line check, to disrupt the attacker's forward step. Not a fancy kick, a reality kick, your body can't keep moving like that strike. The attacker stumbles, and for the first time, the knife line becomes messy. The blade isn't centered anymore. It's off to the side. That's the only moment in a knife situation where disarm becomes even remotely possible. But Bruce still doesn't do the Hollywood disarm, because the Hollywood disarm assumes cooperation. Instead, he does the street-safe version. He controls the wrist and elbow line for 1 second, just long enough to create space. Not a lock and hold, a touch and exit, because staying is danger, leaving is life. Bruce breaks away, 2 steps back. Now the distance changes. Now the knife isn't a whisper in your ribs. Now it's a threat that has to travel, and traveling is time. Time is survival. The attacker doesn't like the new distance. He advances again, and here comes the trap that kills trained people. The moment you land something, you feel confident, and you stay too long. That's how you get cut after your successful move. Bruce doesn't stay. He keeps moving laterally, keeping obstacles between them. Cars, poles, street corners, anything that interrupts a clean charge. Because in real knife threats, the environment is not background, it's your shield.
Now the attacker tries to close again, but the movement is no longer clean. He has to step around objects. He has to reset. And each reset is a chance for Bruce to escape. This is when Bruce does the thing that looks cowardly to people who don't understand knives. He chooses leaving over winning. Because against a knife, the win is not knocking someone out. The win is getting home without holes in you. So Bruce creates a final angle. The attacker reaches, the blade extends, and Bruce is already gone. The attacker's knife slices air, and that is the real disarm. Not taking the knife from his hand, taking your body off the blade's path. The attacker stops for a second, breathing hard, realizing the target isn't trapped anymore. And in that second, Bruce has already achieved the only objective that matters: distance. But the story isn't over yet, because the most dangerous moment in knife encounters isn't the first slash. It's the moment the attacker realizes you're escaping and decides to rush with chaos. That's where people get caught, and that's what we go into next. There's a phase in knife threats that's worse than the first reveal. It's the moment the attacker realizes this isn't working. Because when a knife threat fails to control you, the attacker often stops threatening and starts finishing. And finishing usually looks like chaos, fast steps, wild lunges, multiple short stabs, not one big slash like a movie, many ugly attempts, close together. This is where people die even if they did everything right in the first few seconds, because survival doesn't require one smart move, it requires repeatable decisions under panic. Bruce understands something that most people learn too late. Knife violence is not about skill, it's about sequence. If your sequence is wrong, if you do the right move at the wrong time, you still get cut. So when the attacker rushes, Bruce does not square up like a boxer. Squaring up feels strong, but it locks you into one line, and in knife encounters, one line is a coffin. Bruce keeps his body bladed, not for style, but to present less target and keep his hips ready to move. The attacker charges again, trying to erase distance. And now Bruce makes the second decision that separates survivors from victims. He does not retreat straight. He circles, cutting angles, forcing the attacker to turn. Every turn costs the attacker balance. Every balance loss costs the attacker accuracy. And with a knife, accuracy is everything. The attacker lunges low, trying to catch the stomach. Bruce shifts his hips back and to the side, letting the knife pass where his body was half a second ago. The blade misses by inches. And people don't realize what that means. It means Bruce is gambling with death, but he's gambling with a controlled strategy, not a panic reaction.
Now the attacker tries high, toward chest or neck. Bruce does not block the blade with an arm like an action hero, because blocking means you're trading skin for hope. Instead, he jams space with his forearm and shoulder line, not to stop the knife, but to stop the attacker's body from aligning for a clean strike. This is subtle but critical. A knife is lethal when the attacker's shoulders, hips, and blade are aligned. Break the alignment and the knife becomes messy. Still dangerous, but messy. Messy is survivable. The attacker gets closer, too close, and now we enter the one wrong move ends him zone again. Because at close range, every movement is small, and the knife can touch you even when you think you won. So Bruce uses the third decision. He crashes the attacker's structure, then exits immediately. Not crash and brawl, crash and leave. He smashes the attacker's base again, knee line, shin, foot, anything that makes the attacker's stance unstable. Then he shoves the attacker's shoulder line past center. That's the trick. You don't push him away, you push him off his own balance. Because a man off balance can't aim a knife properly. The attacker stumbles, the knife hand swings wide, and in that 1 second, Bruce could try a disarm. But again, he doesn't, because disarms are for controlled conditions. The street is not controlled. So Bruce takes the only safe prize, space. He moves out, circles around a parked car, puts metal between them. Now the attacker has to choose, go around the car and chase, or stop. Chasing around obstacles burns energy and makes you look foolish in front of witnesses, and witnesses change human behavior. This is where the environment becomes Bruce's invisible teammate, a streetlight, a curb, a car door edge, a pole, things that force the attacker to slow down or widen his path. And the wider his path gets, the more time Bruce gains. The attacker tries one last rush, anger now, not strategy. He comes in too hard, his feet cross slightly, just for an instant, and Bruce sees it. That crossing is an opening, not to win, to escape permanently. Bruce cuts away fast, not sprinting like panic, moving like someone who already chose the exit. And that's where the attacker's psychology breaks. Because the attacker is not fighting, he's hunting, and hunting fails when the target refuses to be trapped. The attacker slows, breathing loud, knife still up. But now he's not closing, he's thinking. This isn't the easy victim I expected, and that's a massive shift, because most knife attacks depend on one thing:
the victim freezing. If the victim doesn't freeze, the attacker loses his advantage. Now Bruce is out of range. He's not celebrating. He's watching. Because here's the final danger. Some attackers pretend to stop, then rush again when you relax. So Bruce doesn't relax. He keeps distance, keeps angle, keeps eyes on the weapon, and keeps moving toward safety. People, light, open space. And at this point, the outcome is decided. Not with a knockout, with a choice. Bruce chose survival over ego, and that's what the street rewards. But there's one last piece we need to lock in. What is the real lesson here? Because if you take the wrong lesson, you'll do the wrong thing at the wrong time. And with a knife, the wrong lesson is fatal. So the final section is the real takeaway, the rule set Bruce would follow that makes this scenario make sense.